What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. Today it's team selection time ahead of double game week 25. I've tried to leave this video as late as possible because obviously we're all hoping that the future fixtures get announced this week before the game week 25 deadline. That still hasn't happened at the time we're recording this, which is a little bit frustrating. Maybe they'll come out later today on Thursday, but who knows. Either way, I'm going to talk you through how I did in game week 24, then look ahead to game week 25, talk through transfer plans, as well as maybe some future transfer plans as well, and of course captaincy, which is big in a double game. We've got to make sure we get the right players. So if you enjoy this type of video, please do give it a like, hit subscribe if you're new around here, and let's talk about OneFootball. So OneFootball are back sponsoring the team selection videos. If you haven't already tried it out, very handy link in the description below. Just click on that. It'll take you straight through to the iOS store or the Android store, depending on the device you're using, and that will then let you download it. It's completely free. There is no reason not to give it a go and see what you think. Loads of great football stuff on there, not just for the Premier League, but worldwide as well. But of course, from an FPL point of view, you've got all the lineup news, team news, injury news, hopefully fixture announcement news as well soon. So all the info and stats you need are right over there. So if you haven't already tried it out, please make sure you do. Help support the channel, and like I said, it's completely free. Link in the description below. So not a great week, to be honest, in game week 24. Usually when you score 84 points, you'd be quite happy, but obviously it was a double game week. The worst thing is nearly half of my points came from Gundogan captain. Outside of that, I didn't really get too many major scores either. I had Ben Mee, who missed the second game. I had Loughton instead. Obviously, Gundogan himself missed the second game as well. I didn't have double Burnley defence. Man United lost their clean sheet in the first kind of 2 minutes, which was massively frustrating. Obviously, City, both my players got one clean sheet each, but Stones didn't play the second game. Cancelo did, but he conceded, no attacking returns. And Fernandes and Salah came in with 7 or 9, but it didn't really make a huge amount of difference, especially in the case of Bruno Fernandes, because so many people own him now, and also still captain him because it was West Brom, that those points didn't give me anything extra. And Grealish, Bamford, Son all blanked as well. So 84 points looks kind of good on paper, but it really wasn't. Like, it dropped my rank from, I think it was 619th down to 959th. So I'm only just clinging on to a triple digit rank. I think I'm only 1 point off going like kind of outside the top 1,000, and it's still massively off kind of top 100 and obviously top position as well, which would be nice, but I think it's probably looking unlikely at this stage. So obviously I'm not annoyed about the rank, but I am fully aware that my wildcard's gone now. I've had kind of the honeymoon period after that, right? The next 2 to 3, 4 weeks where things went well. But now I'm just managing my team like everyone else. I don't have a wild card. Okay, I've still got my free hit, but it is going to get trickier from here to kind of stay ahead. And obviously it shows you in a week like this just how much you can kind of go down. So hopefully, because I've come down so much in a week, hopefully it'll be able to go straight back up. But I am kind of going up and down right now. Nothing kind of too major in terms of green arrows. So I'd like that to change next week. Let's talk about how we're going to do it. Okay, so game week 25, I got 2 free transfers. So I only made 1 transfer last week, which I didn't really mention, but I bought in Dallas for Sofal and just benched Dallas. I had him 3rd on my bench, so the fact that he got -1 didn't really matter, but he's in place for this week. So Wolves away, Southampton at home. Annoyingly, Calvin Phillips was out of the first game. Whether or not he's back for Southampton, we're not going to find out until after the deadline anyway, but that is a bit frustrating because I think he is just so big to how Leeds play, both going forward and in defence as well, that it doesn't necessarily spell too many great things in terms of defensive returns. Not that I would have been expecting a huge amount of clean sheets from Dallas anyway. I'm just hoping he gets that attacking threat in. But obviously he's got a double. He's definitely going to be played. In goal, I'm pretty sure I'm going for David De Gea again. That massively backfired last week because De Gea got 2 points. Martinez got 12. Right, that's a huge swing from your benched goalkeeper. The thing is, Brighton had a real good time against that Aston Villa defence and should have scored more, right? Martinez made 9 saves. I'm pretty sure I saw a stat or heard a stat where no goalkeeper, at least maybe in recent times, I'm not saying ever, has made 9 saves and still kept a clean sheet. So it's very unlikely that would happen. And I think Villa can consider themselves pretty fortunate to have got that. But we know he's a keeper that does make saves, and therefore when he does get a clean sheet, massive bonus potential. A bit like Nick Pope at Burnley for a lot more money. But I think this week Villa are playing Leicester, and Man United are playing a Newcastle team without Callum Wilson. Now, West Brom did well against Man United, and I wouldn't necessarily going forward back them for too many clean sheets. But I think in a straight-up fight this week, De Gea at Newcastle at home or Martinez against Leicester, I'm going to back Man United one more time. After this week, I'll probably play Martinez for a few weeks in a row, but I can't let what happened last week dictate my decisions. Like, on another day, Man United get a clean sheet against West Brom. It was a pretty poor game where they conceded so early, and then probably should have conceded the second, so maybe that should be ringing alarm bells. But I just think Newcastle without Wilson are just not going to be a huge threat, but that might be famous last words. In defence, I've actually got Stones playing and Cancelo bench. So Cancelo's played twice in a row now, and I feel like he's due a rest at some point, either in the Arsenal game or the Champions League game. And I'm going to say that it's probably going to be in the Arsenal game. And given that Stones was on the bench and Laporte played, and obviously they did concede a goal as well, Pep Guardiola won't be happy about that considering the few amount of goals they've conceded recently. I think Stones will pretty much play. There is a part of me that thinks just play Cancelo, because if he doesn't play, he won't come on, but there's obviously no guarantee of that, so I'm a little bit worried. So right now I'm playing Stones, and I'm benching Wan-Bissaka because I don't want to play double Man United defence. I've got Ben Mee against West Brom at home, so if he's fit, perfect, I'll just play him. If he's not, I'll just play one of Cancelo or Wan-Bissaka. There's no need for a defensive transfer this week. Southampton, I'm just not convinced by at all. I don't think their defence has been that great recently. I think Chelsea have got a great chance of scoring, and also Leeds have as well. So as much as Vestergaard might have attacking threat, which if you've got him and it comes through, looks great, I'm just not expecting clean sheets, and at the end of the day, that is the bread and butter of any defender in FPL. So this is probably what I'm lining up as. I don't expect any more transfers for my defensive line, at least this week, maybe even not next week either. So a pretty heavy hitting midfield, but is it good enough? I don't know. I've got all these big names in there: Grealish, Son, Fernandes, Salah. I'm just not feeling it right now, but I don't want to make transfers just for the sake of it, right? Because Fernandes has been ticking over, to be fair, and even Salah has done okay in the last few weeks, but Grealish blanked the last couple. I know a few people getting cold feet. What do we make of Spurs and Son? Do I need the Son Kane double up? There's all these question marks right now over my team, and it's almost like a bit of a headache because I've got 2 free transfers. If I only had one, I might even just roll it, but I've got 2, so I have to do something. There's double game weeks to think about. The fixtures could swing things a little bit, but one of the players I don't have is Rafinha, and I think he's a good option for Leeds. Now, a lot of people are bringing them in as well because of the Game Week 29 fixture. So you get an extra fixture then because they're definitely playing. If you don't want to use the free hit, then it's great. But I actually have my free hit left. And while Rafinha has a double game week this week, he doesn't have one in 26. And even when the fixtures are announced, he won't have a double game week in Game Week 26. So, for example, if I was going to take out Fernandes or Salah to fund Kane, then yeah, both of those players only have one game this week, but they both will likely have 2 next week. So they've still got 3 fixtures over the next 2 weeks, whereas Rafinha also has the same, right? A lot of that transfer comes down to how much do I want a Harry Kane? How much am I willing to risk going without Salah or Fernandes? Now, a lot of people will say, well, just get rid of one of the other 3, or I guess Grealish, right? But that doesn't give me enough money to get Kane. If I want Kane, I have to drop Son, Fernandes, Salah. Now, part of the risk in selling Fernandes or Salah is obviously diminished because I don't see them being massively captained. Although, I say that, that's because I'm thinking in Game Week 26, most people will go City or Spurs. But when people see Salah and Fernandes with doubles, of course they're going to be at the top of people's list. So chances are they'll still be heavily owned. So it is a risk. But if I'm thinking, well, those 2 aren't going to be captain, therefore I can get rid of them, the risk is diminished, the same thing's got to be said of Son as well. Because if Spurs have good double game week, a lot of people will flock to Kane in order to have their captain. That's what I want to do, right? So maybe the way to go is Son out. But I just look at the fixtures, and if that Spurs versus Villa game gets put in Game Week 29, that a lot of people think it might happen, or could happen, then owning Spurs players is going to be decent. And they've also got Crystal Palace at home in Game Week 27, which is also a good fixture, whereas Fernandes plays Man City, and Salah's got Fulham at home. So I'm a bit loath to drop Grealish. I just think after a couple of blanks, he was fine before. I know teams are starting to double up on him. They've maybe worked out how Villa play. But I think the fixtures haven't been... The fixtures he's blanked in, there's only been a couple, right? And before that, it was 4 returns in a row. He's kind of returned all season. So I'm not massively put off by him. But he hasn't scored many goals, I guess, which is one thing to be a little bit concerned about. But even if I did Grealish to Rafinha, it's not gaining me enough money to go for Harry Kane, so that kind of puts me off. So obviously, if Gundogan is out, and he's out for a long time, maybe even if it's weeks, I know that's not what Pep Guardiola has said, but if that happens to be the case, that's what he says in the press conference, then I might just do Gundogan to Rafinha and leave the other 4 for now, and leave that big decision until the next game week, right? Until game week 26. But if I had to, right now, if I had to get rid of one, I think I would get rid of Fernandes, because Salah's fixtures for the season end are pretty decent. And also, I think he's posting pretty good numbers recently, to the point where I don't really want to drop him. It could be Son, but right now it's probably not going to be Salah. So I think with how the team looks, I don't want to get rid of Gundogan. His value's too good. I don't really want to get rid of Grealish. And I think Son's fixtures are going to be decent enough to keep as well. So if I want Rafinha and I want that money to fund Kane, then one of Salah or Fernandes has to go. And right now, I'm considering Fernandes. But don't get me wrong, I fully realise the risk involved. I know all the comments are going to be, he's going to punish you, you'll be punished, etc. But maybe it's just time to let go for a few weeks before I then look to bring him back. Maybe. But let's have a look at the forward line and see why I need that money to make an attacking change this week. So this is where the whole thing gets a little bit tricky, right? Because I've got Chris Wood against West Brom at home, and I've got Antonio against Spurs at home, and both players might miss out due to fitness. Now, I would imagine if Antonio was close for the last game against Sheffield United, he should be close for the Spurs game, but there's no guarantee on that, right? And even if he was, it's not necessarily the greatest fixture, even though Spurs have been conceding a few goals recently. So Antonio would need to go. Now, I don't have enough money to go straight to Danny Ings, okay? So the only option really is to go for Ollie Watkins, who's got Leicester at home, double up with Grealish, and then hope that they do really well in the double game because they've got Leeds away, and then hopefully one extra fixture, right? So I could do that. I could just skip Rafinha, okay, knowing that he's got no double in 26 anyway. And by the way, if I get Rafinha in, that means out of my 8 attackers that I would have, only 6 will have a double game week, because I'll look to swap Wood and Antonio by game week 26, but I'd be holding Bamford and Rafinha, which means I only have 6 attackers doubling. And I don't know if I necessarily want to do that, right? So Rafinha is not guaranteed to come in this week. I think I probably will, but he's not 100% certainty, right? So then if I don't do that move, I can only afford someone like Watkins for this week. If I want Ings or I want Kane, whether it's this week or next week, I have to bring in Rafinha for one of my heavy hitters. So let's say I did Fernandes to Rafinha, that would give me enough money to go Danny Ings this week. Now, I'm a little bit put off by Danny Ings this week because he plays Chelsea, and I just see that fixture as a bit of a write-off. I'm not foreseeing many points, so therefore we're all hoping he gets points from Leeds. But if he doesn't then double in 26 as well, I probably won't go for him. If he doubles in 25, 26, and maybe even 27 and 28, or 27 or 28 as well, and we find out about that, that'll be hard to turn down. Even though there's obviously a rotation risk with that many games in quick succession, especially for a player who at times has been pretty injury prone, I still think it's worth kind of the risk to go for it, right? Because there's so many extra fixtures. In which case, I'd probably do Fernandes to Rafinha or Son to Rafinha, and then Chris Wood up to Ings. And then the week after, I'd have enough money to get Harry Kane in for Antonio, right? And maybe even I do a double change next week and get rid of Bamford for Watkins and still go for the full double game week thing and bench Rafinha. So that's where I'm sitting at right now. A lot of this is obviously still down to the fixtures. That's why I've not hated, but doing content this week has been frustrating, because it's like, well, these fixtures are going to come. Who's definitely going to double? These players are going to double. No, trust me, they definitely will. You just don't know right now. So this is how the team looks. I think captaincy is on Bamford, whether I bring in Ings or Rafinha or not. I just think the penalty swings it, plus I prefer his fixtures to Danny Ings. It's just a question of who comes out for Rafinha to fund that move up front, or do I just go for Watkins? And I think this is one of those moves, or those weeks where this is just going to go down to the wire, and a lot will depend if we get the fixtures on how good I think that Spurs double is versus Man City. Because if I think Man City are the best captain options that week, then maybe I don't captain Harry Kane. But obviously, Kane has the big kind of plus that he'll almost certainly play 90 minutes in both, and he's also on penalties as well, so I do kind of want him. I'll just go over to the FPL page now and do a little bit of tinkering just to show you my thoughts. But that is the team. Bamford captain, Rafinha possibly coming in, and then one of Danny Ings or Harry Kane, with the other one coming in the week after. So this is the FPL page. I'm just going to quickly go through this, right? So if you see the money that I have, 1.1 million. So obviously I can't get Antonio up to Danny Ings, right? Because he's like 8.4 or something like that. Let me just go down to him. He is 8.4 million exactly, okay? So the only way to do it would be Rafinha in. Now, if I go for Son, I already know that if I do Son to Rafinha, I already know down the line I'm not going to have money to do the Ings and Kane move. So let's say it's for Fernandes, right? I know everybody hates it. You can let me know in the comments. But if I do Fernandes to Rafinha, That obviously gives me a lot of money to spend, right? It gives me 13.3 million to spend on a striker. So I could, if Southampton have loads of extra fixtures, just go straight to Danny Ings, skip Watkins and just go straight to Ings, ride out the double game weeks and then love life, basically. So I play Ings and Bamford up front and I play 3-5-2 and I just bench Chris Wood, right? It could be Chris Wood that goes instead of Antonio, whatever. I'm just thinking out loud here, right? Either way, Wood and Antonio are gone by game week 26. It just depends in which order I do the transfers. And then Chris Wood can go just about, by the way, just about to Harry Kane. Now, Rafinha's risen in price, and also Son's dropped a couple of times, but that's not really affecting this. But Rafinha's gone up in price, and obviously there is going to probably be more price increases before tomorrow, so that's something I have to consider. But I could afford to do this. So in the double game, we could have Cancelo and Stones and Wan-Bissaka with a double. Also Ben Mee, by the way. Then Grealish, Salah, Gundogan, Son. But Rafinha and Bamford wouldn't have doubles. So I'd have a big call to make then. In game week 26, would I also do Bamford to Watkins and get that extra double out of him, bearing in mind that Aston Villa will also have extra fixtures to play soon. So Rafinha in for Fernandes, Danny Ings in for Chris Wood or Antonio, and then the week after, Kane in for the other one. And I can do all that for free, and then potentially a hit to do Bamford to Watkins. Right, so that's one way to do it. The other one is, if I don't go for Ings, let's say he doesn't have doubles and I just don't fancy it, I can still do the Rafinha move, and obviously this week I would just go straight to Kane. And then next week I could do Chris Wood to whoever, like Watkins if I want another double game week player. I don't necessarily have to take a hit, as long as I'm prepared to either play one of the Leeds players in double game week 26, even though they've only got a single fixture, or I play 4-4-2 and play Ben Mee, which is an option too if I want to play the two fixtures, right, if he's fit and available, which he should be. So that's kind of my feelings with that. Dropping Fernandes is huge, right? And I don't do it lightly. But if I look at the fixtures, Newcastle's great, don't get me wrong, and it would be a massive worry to do it this week. One of the double game week fixtures is going to be Chelsea away. Unfortunately, the other one's going to be Crystal Palace, if it happens, and that's a pretty good fixture. So one good, one bad, but then it's Man City away. So no one, I don't think, is going to captain him in these two fixtures. And I don't even care if people captain him in 25, because I'm definitely going double game week anyway. Then it's West Ham, which could be good, and then it's a blank. So I'd potentially be looking to bring him back here. Right? I'm not saying that Kane and Son is a long-term double-up that I necessarily want to do. So whoever goes out of Fernandes or Salah, and I do think it'll be one of those two, will come back in. But if you look at Salah's fixtures, he also has quite a good fixture this week. Arguably not quite as good as Newcastle, but it's still decent. Sheffield United away would be one of the double game week fixtures, and Chelsea at home. So Man United and Liverpool both play Chelsea. Not great. Liverpool have Sheffield United, Man United have Crystal Palace. I would say Man United's fixtures are actually slightly better. And then in game week 27, Salah's got Fulham, whereas Fernandes plays Man City. And then Wolves away is probably no more difficult than West Ham at home for Man United, so it's quite close. The only thing is, after the 29 blank, I really like this set of fixtures. Arsenal, Villa, Leeds, Newcastle. And then even when we come down a bit further, Southampton, West Brom, Burnley, Palace. Look, you can bring players back in at any point. I don't necessarily just want to hold Salah now because he has a good fixtures all the way to game week 38, because a lot will change in that time, right? He might get injured, other players might get injured, whatever. But I do think I'm going to want him pretty soon. And I do think initially, like in the short term, his fixtures are probably slightly better, which is why I'm considering Fernandes out. Like I said, I know people won't like it. I know they'll think it's a massive mistake, and maybe it will be. But sometimes you got to make these big decisions and hope for the best, right? So I'm thinking about it. That's my transfer plans. Let me know in the comments below what you think. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do give it a like and hit subscribe if you're new around here as well. Hopefully I'll have a wildcard video out later this evening as well. I know a lot of people have been asking for that. Really, ideally, I'm waiting for the fixtures. So I'll wait and see what happens with that and then decide what to do. At the very least, I have captaincy tomorrow as well as a deadline stream as well ahead of, I think it's the 6 o'clock deadline tomorrow, or 6:30 maybe. So make sure you're checking that out. Hit that notification bell if you haven't already. And if you want to follow me or sign up on Patreon, I should say, support me and the channel a little bit further. Obviously, it'd be much appreciated if you want to. There's also some extra perks and benefits over there. Everyone that signs up goes up on the Legends wall. So thank you to everyone that already has, as well as Santiago, who has signed up since the last video as well. I will leave it there. Hopefully I'll see you later tonight when we've got some announcements. If it doesn't happen, so be it. I might just put the video up anyway. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. Please do give it a like, hit subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you soon.